need you more. Let's get ready to RPG!
RPG! RPG! RPG! RPG! RPG!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this dark and bewitching hour. We had a busy day, Bob and I, and we were streaming earlier and shooting the shit. But we didn't really get to talk too much about RPGs. We talked about the concepts about how we're going to play RPGs and some of the business of running one of these damn YouTube channels. But oh, thank you, Dr. Flamingo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for that. That's 15 months for the doc. Thank you, Dr. Flamingo. Appreciate you. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. It is a late one tonight. We were, Bob was over. We were working all day, moving stuff out of our storage unit. It's actually a good thing for me. I bought that storage unit last April when we moved out of the original studio, and it's been I've been just sitting on it with the things from the studio for the last year and a half because I didn't want to give up on that dream of having a studio. And so it took a little bit of crazy ideas and some elbow grease, but we got it done. And we're going to develop and build it right here at home, which is great for me. It's also closer for the other knights who come over to my house. And, it's a little bit crowded, No. Jackal asked were the animal costumes in there too. No, it was wisely decided that we would throw those away or burn them if we could have, but we did not. Those did not come with us. There was a joke made, I believe, by Bob about maybe keeping the fox costume because his wife might be into that, but I don't think he did. So, what's up, Keith? Howdy, howdy. So much streaming, Mark. Yeah, I mean, actually, it's been like a vacation for me. I mean, I did Origins, and obviously we went live for a little bit there, but that was just us hanging out at the bar. And I think that week I only streamed on Tuesday. And then last week, I think I only streamed Tuesday, Thursday. So compared to when we were, doing all the Daggerheart stuff, it's felt like a relative vacation for me. Well, I mean, I've been busy since the Daggerheart phenomenon started, and we tried to, get everything started up, but get everything started up here at home. Adarius, Alpha, anything, everything. Thank you for being a subscriber, by the way. Our Prime sub count has dropped down, by the way. So either people are said, you know what, Derek, you suck, and we don't really care about you, or people have expired and they've forgotten to go back to twitch.tv/NightsLet'sCall and give me that Prime sub. Adarius Alpha, we can talk about anything you want. I just kind of want to hang out for a little bit. Again, we didn't really go live. Normally on Sundays I play Torchbearer, and we didn't do that today. We just worked all day, and I like talking about RPGs. It's one of my favorite hobbies. So that's why this whole thing here got started. I'll talk about anything you guys want. Rob, that's fantastic. What's going on with your D&D game? You running it? You playing in it? Is it 5th edition? What level are you? Are you enjoying it? What's your class? Your race? What's your favorite item? Todd, always. Twofer. Mostly I just wanted to hang out, and I hadn't eaten all day, so I ate after Bob left, but between now and so I can't really just go straight to bed, and Plus, there's a potential that I might not be able to stream one of the days this week. So, I figured I'd just throw a little thing out there and we could just hang out and shoot the shit and talk about games and talk about what we're interested in and how things are going. I will say, I've been seeing a lot of people very excited to been playing Daggerheart, and they've been leaving comments. Then patrons have been leaving messages in the Discord about how valuable they have found the advice that I have given them. And I also see a lot of growing pains on the Reddit. A lot of a lot of new people coming to a new way of playing games. So it's been very, 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 very interesting. All right, RPG PhD, I know you're good for it. Will you be reviewing the Unicorn Legend of the Five Ring sourcebook once it arrives in the States? Absolutely. I got to tell you, though, Thad, after this piece of shit, my hopes are not high. Not high. That last book was a stinker. What happens if you're always frosty? Well, then you always are staying frosty, and you are always good to go. What's up, Frosty? Good to see you, man. I'm a big fan of the immovable rod, for sure. I think one of my favorite items in the entire game of Dungeons & Dragons is, I don't know if it's in 5th edition. I'm sure it is. Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments. Is that still in the game? Fantastic. Okay, you're playing. It's a cross between 5e and 5.5. I'm a player. It's a Sky Pirate game. I'm running a Swashbuckler Swordsbard, Hobgoblin Eberron, level 8. Fantastic. Swashbuckler Bard in Eberron seems awesome. You're a Hobgoblin. Are you from Droem? They are pretty cool. I mean, some of the information is a little out of date, admittedly, Todd, just because the game has changed so much, and even our understanding of the game has changed. But obviously, there's been a remaster as well. But most of the principles are pretty solid and haven't changed too much. Hey, fantastic. Well, I appreciate it. Are you playing Daggerheart? Are you hoping to play it? You hoping to run it? Derek, are you all done going through Daggerheart books? Keith, I mean, I think we've gone through every single class. I don't think we went through all the ancestries communities, but there's not a whole lot there that really needs to get gotten through. I would say, Keith, I don't know. I mean, what else do people need or want? I mean, obviously, I think there's still a lot of, questions and uncertainty about how do we run these type of games. And I'm seeing people's, brain sort of expand as they sort of start thinking about games in a fiction first way. And I'm trying to put myself back into the mindset of myself, say, 20 some years ago, circa 2006, 2008, when I first started, playing PBTA games, Apocalypse World, Dungeon World, Monster Hearts, and try to remember what some of my eye-opening moments were. But what was interesting for me is I always, played by the rules to a certain extent. Yeah, pretty, I didn't fudge, but I mean, I always played by the rules. I didn't like house ruling and making stuff up too much. But when I first encountered PBTA, it was like a relief, because finally there was a game that I could follow the rules and still be playing it the way that I thought the game should be played. And so that's one of the reasons why I had such a positive relationship to it. Oh, that's not good to hear, Thad. But I didn't pre-order it or anything like that, so hopefully it just shows up at one of my game stores. I don't know how else I'm going to get it. Do I think I would open DMing Daggerheart for your patrons for a donation? Well, Frosty, as you know, I don't really. Here's the thing. Obviously, I have a Patreon, so people do give me money. But I don't like to do things for money specifically. Historically, when I have run games for patrons, it has been for gold tickets, which are useful for other things. We do raffles, we do giveaways, merch, all sorts of stuff with golden tickets. They're, useful for our mega games to get cool vanity items and cool perks for the community. But I don't like to just like take money to buy. I know it seems silly because you're like, well, Derek, you're taking money in the form of the Patreon. But I like to think of it as you're supporting the community, and as a reward for supporting the community, I'm giving you these tickets. How you choose to use those tickets is up to you. And when I have run games, like I'm running 2 Torchbearer game campaigns right now, those are done for those golden tickets. I don't know if I'm planning on running a Daggerheart game for patrons. Obviously, I'm going to be running a Daggerheart game here for the channel. I will say I'm going to have, there's a very strong incentive for me to run a lot of Daggerheart games because I want to experiment with some stuff and I want to try some stuff out, especially if we want to self-publish and create new content. And so, there is an incentive for me to play more than just the Daggerheart that I'm going to be playing with, Bob and Tim and Smith. So it could serve 2 masters. But if I did it, it would be through my ticket system. Oh, you're an heir of Dakan. Okay. Yeah, Dakani Empire. Yeah, cool. The OG inhabitants of Corvair. Very cool. Neat. Will we get a sneak peek at your original campaign frame? Well, Adarius, we will probably do some sort of collab session 0, 0 point, 0, session 0A, session 0B, session 0C. I can't promise you how long our session 0s will take. Sometimes, historically, we have had session 0s that have taken like 6 sessions. So sometimes we get really into the collaborative world building. But, so you'll be able to probably watch it as it unfolds and as it happens. Why would you double sleeve your Daggerheart cards? I think playing through an example Daggerheart combat might be a good educational tool. Sure, I've seen some combat tutorials on YouTube that were not particularly great. But yeah. That big old Band of Blades book right behind your head looks great. Something I've always wanted to run. It does stand out a lot, doesn't it? I might have to move it just because it is very, very, very noticeable. It's a very interesting premise. I find that this book is very polarizing for a variety of reasons. Number one, because it has a defined frame to it. You play. It's kind of the green screen is making this look like shit. Hold on a sec. You play this kind of. I don't want to say it's railroaded, but like the campaign is structured where you play through these different areas, and as the army retreats from the forces of the undead of the Cinder King. And then you can literally win or lose the campaign. You get like a point score, and you can determine whether you win or lose. And then the thing that really, really, really fucks with people is that you don't really have a character, right? Like you play as different members of the army. And in fact, you play as both the generals who make the high level plans, and then you play as different characters who get sent out on the mission. But being an army game, like, right, people die. And so like, you're not really, you're not playing just your one character, right? Like you might create a character, the grizzled sergeant, and maybe you play him in one session, but maybe the next time you play, the grizzled sergeant doesn't get sent on this mission, or maybe somebody else plays the grizzled sergeant character. So some people find that very, very unappealing, because for some people, usually people find it unappealing for 2 reasons. The first reason, which is actually kind of common, is a lot of people find role-playing games very complex, and it is almost more than they can stand or bear to play one character and learn how that character works, let alone, have multiple characters that you're playing in and out and all that stuff. The second reason, which is the majority of the reason, just saying the first one isn't uncommon, it is common. And the second reason is a lot of people play role-playing games because they really want to identify as this person, as this imaginary creation. And so the idea of playing a revolving cast of characters is very anathema to that idea. I personally right? I don't care because I don't play role-playing games for the character or to play the character. I play role-playing games because I want to see the story, you know, as a whole. I don't really care about, you know, my character, my journey. I care about the holistic picture, and I care about the you know, the narrative that we're creating emergently together through our actions, responding, and to those things. So I think it's kind of cool. I've always wanted to play it. I haven't actually played Band of Blades. Michael, I fully support the Knights developing a campaign frame with new environments for a DK actual play. DH actual plays. Third live streams. I think it's now a habit. Keep grinding. Well, Michael, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being consistent with it. And, you know, I mean, Michael, I don't need to tell you that every little bit of dollars helps. And so when you chip in a little bit every single time, or a lot of bit every single time as you have, it makes a huge difference. And, you know, it's what allows us to do what we do, and I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to us, you know, playing a campaign frame out of the book, for sure. But I think when I get together my group of people, that this is where they thrive, you know? I mean, I would probably say that if I did play something for the patrons or something like that, that would probably be something that I would probably use a campaign frame for. Travis, that sounds awesome, man. We'd love to have you back. Game and be happening. We had the other day, I think we had five game channels. I mean, technically we'd have more, but we only have 5. And all of them were full between Pathfinder 2 games and 4th edition games, and I think a Call of Cthulhu or Pulp Cthulhu, or maybe it was a Fabulous Ultimate game. They were all full. Hey, Edward, by the way, I saw your comment, by the way, Edward. That's really funny. I mean, look, I'm not going to turn down your generosity or your support. I'll just say that. So I really appreciate it. Edward says, your stream on where GM moves come from was really enlightening. Hoping for more videos like that in the future, maybe even in smaller videos for the all-powerful YouTube algorithm. Yeah. Yeah. I've discovered that the way I can make a short video is just by not making a script, and just really staying focused and not having the chat, you know, to distract me. When I did my Daggerheart reaction video, somebody was telling me that, like, they're in a chat group with a bunch of content creators, and they were like, how did Derek get that out so quick? And Mark Seifter was like, well, Derek doesn't write a script, and he probably did it in one take. And I told Mark, I said, yep, I hit record on OBS, and then I hit stop recording, and then I dragged the file to YouTube. I didn't even put it into Premiere Pro. I didn't edit it. I just did it one shot, one take. Fuck it, we'll do it live. And then I just uploaded it. So if I could do that, I could probably do short videos. So what could I do for short videos for Daggerheart? I mean, I could probably spend a ton of time just talking about each GM move. But I think I could probably do a series of videos where I spend, 10 minutes or something like that talking about each move in turn. It was a cool raid, Jackal. We recorded it. I'm going to upload it. I've got it sitting on my computer. Things have been moving around a lot this weekend because of all the moving and the studio. So, yeah. Kendall. So we didn't really cover campaign frames that much because the campaign frames in the book, there's only one of them that's in the SRD, and you're not really supposed to show the book on stream. You're supposed to do SRD. They do change things mechanically. Some campaign frames might create new systems or new subsystems in the game. Some campaign frames might restrict what ancestries, potentially what domains, what classes are available. So yeah, they aren't just a setting. And even to call it a setting it's kind of underselling it because, well, overselling it because it's not a setting in the sense of a campaign setting. It's a framework. I think that's really good. The way they use the term campaign framework, because it's got a couple of, points that you can hang your hat on, but it is not a dyed in the wool setting. But all of the ones in the book do have some mechanical changes. And I should point out that they also rate them via complexity. And a big part of what changes the complexity is how weird or new are the mechanics for the game. So I myself am interested in what people come up with for the campaign frames and how they change them mechanically. They even something which is very subtle, which probably, I'm not saying it's, oh, you guys don't get it, went over your head. But a lot of people focus on the mechanics differences between the campaign frames. But one of the things that I actually think is more important and more telling in the campaign frameworks is the way that they add or change the GM and the player principles. I think that is actually a bigger impact to a fiction first game, especially for me as someone who runs Powered by the Apocalypse games, or Daggerheart being so, very inspired by that. I think that makes a bigger deal. I think that's a huge deal because this is going to change the way that I think about making moves, because now I'm going to be forcing or doing things that maybe I wouldn't be doing if we weren't doing this kind of setting. So like if you look at Five Banners Burning, I'm not going to bring it up on stream because it's not the SRD, but Five Banners Burning is, A Song of Ice and Fire. It's Avatar, right? The Last Airbender. It's, rival nations, war, kind of a Cold War, kind of detente. But, there's a lot of political intrigue, maybe Eberron, right? In sort of a post Treaty of Thronehold, where, war feels like, we're in this interbellum period. War is for sure going to break out. In the meantime, it's all intrigue and skirmishes. Anyways, if we look at the GM principles for Five Banners Burning, they are, different or additive to the core Daggerheart GM principles. So we have these 4 new GM principles, one of which is force them to choose between their loyalties. So I might do that anyways, potentially, but in a game like this, I'm going to go out of my way, right, to look to do that, because these are the instruction manual that the game is telling me that this is what I need to do. So I'm going to be using my GM moves and my fear points to make GM moves in order to create conflicts of loyalty, entangle them in a web of old grudges and new schemes, put the party in the crucible of history, and zoom in and out to show the far-reaching impact of decisions. So, as a GM running this campaign frame, or a campaign set using this campaign frame, those are additional principles that I am going to use to sort of inform what is it that I'm supposed to be doing during this. I think of them as like job objectives. And so it's guiding my performance. Well, thank you, Edward. I appreciate it. Yeah, something like that, Derek, I think could be really, really cool. Well, a physical copy is not too expensive, Travis, but I understand. But if you do pick up Burning Wheel Gold, you may want to pick up Burning Wheel Blue too, aka the Codex. Yes, we got to bring in the patented orc or the ogre. Hey, Walter, not every game is for everybody. I'd love to talk about it though, and see what you're not feeling, what you're not vibing with. I don't think there's anything wrong with not vibing with this game, by the way. Walter, maybe it's the game, admittedly, occupies a very strange position in terms of its narrative forward, in this. It's fiction forward. A lot of leeway is given to the GM. Oh, nice. XP to level 3 did a Daggerheart live play on Saturday. It was the Beast Feast one-shot. Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to, Darius, it's the frame of a house, right? It's the framing of a house. But it's not a house. You know, you still got to put the walls up. You still got to, you know, maybe some of the basic plumbing has been put in, but you know, you've got to actually put in the put up the wall, put in the carpet, decide what color the drapes are going to be, right? Which, you know, are you going to put the master bedroom upstairs or downstairs? It's a frame, but it's not a home, you know? That's fair. Daggerheart having mechanical rules for what we old schoolers just call GMing is one of the most bothersome to me. I enjoy it, Todd. I like playing games, and I like having rules for running my game. But you are right that a lot of GM moves are just what, you know, they're basically principles of what GMs are doing or should be doing anyways. Edward, I can never tell. Oh, that's a good point, Enrique. Yeah, Ryan, I don't know, where is this? Oh, it's up here. I have like every single Dune 2D20 book. I love Dune, by the way. And I like 2D20. Some of the early versions of 2D20 weren't so hot. I read and played the Conan book. Not a big fan of that. It was a little clunky and didn't really feel like Conan to me. And then Star Trek Adventures, I got to play a little bit, and I own it, the first edition. But I also felt like that was overly clunky. So I got all in on Dune, and I bought like every single book just because I love Dune, but I still haven't actually gotten it to the table yet. All right, Adarius. No promises. We did stream already once today. Yeah, Michael, but I've also seen a post from Matt Mercer on r/Daggerheart and basically said, hey, look, you know, I'm figuring this out. You know, I've been running games the same way for a long time, and this is new for me as well. So, I mean, I also think there's a learning curve to what, you know, what he's doing as well. Why is my volume so low? I don't know. Because we were messing around there. I gave it an extra couple dB. Hey, what's up, Sandor? Dagger hype indeed. That's a good point, Enrique. That's a good point. Can we put Dagger Strike in the duality zine? I don't even know what Dagger Strike would be. I mean, I love Strike. You know me. Yeah, one of my patrons members, Pawn No Longer, who actually GM'd the Star Trek Adventures game for me, he really wants me to do a new look at the second edition. I just haven't had the time for it, and I said, you know, maybe someday. And I was like, we don't have time to do just all these 2D20 games, but I mean, here's the thing. I love Star Trek. I love it. I just don't know that I love the idea of a role-playing game about Star Trek. I've always been kind of weird about sci-fi games in general. I love Star Trek. I love Star Wars, although to be clear, I grew up loving Star Wars, and everything that has come out since then has sort of made me not love Star Wars as much. But I also don't like watch the shows, so I don't have anything else in that respect. But I've always had a very weird problem with playing sci-fi in pre-existing canon worlds, right? Star Wars, Star Trek, even Dune to a certain extent. You know, like for me, not to get off on a complete tangent, but for me to really enjoy Dune, I would want to set it in whatever Galactic Year 10495 or whatever. But like Paul Atreides is not the Kwisatz Haderach. And I think that just becomes a lot more interesting because I don't want that. I don't want to play in the world. I don't want to play in the book or the story of Dune. I want to play in the world of Dune, you know? Fair enough, Michael. Yeah, class roll. I guess that could be a thing for sure. It's pretty cool. What's up, Darth? Darth Gorlock, the new Chancellor of the Realm. Darth Gorlock had an incredible victory in our Oath game at Origins Game Fair. The Chancellor in my Oath game was on like a 4-game winning streak, and had what I considered to be an insurmountable position. And then even during that game, I literally said I think that the Chancellor had was 5-1 to win, and Darth managed to figure out a way to achieve a victory through cunning and evil blood magic oaths and backstabbery and charlatans and killing charlatans and raising them from the dead. It was a whole thing. I know a friend of mine who loves Star Trek. He's been playing the Star Trek Adventure Captain's Log game, which is like the solo game of it. That's right. That's right. Beowulf late night. TNG is goated. I love Deep Space Nine, and I love Next Generation. I haven't seen anything since Enterprise. I don't even think I saw all the Enterprise. I haven't seen anything, and I quite frankly have no desire to. I've heard good things about Is it Discovery? Whichever one has whichever one has Christopher Pike. But I just feel like it's just not what I want out of game. Picard seemed horrible to me, and whatever that horrible show was with the horrible people on it. I don't remember even what it was called. Everyone's like, oh, the cartoon show's so funny. I'm like, silly cartoon shows aren't Star Trek to me. Ooh, well, chilly Baltic sounds lovely, Valacarno. It's been 95 degrees Fahrenheit here, which I don't know what that is, but it's really fucking hot in Celsius. The new Dune video game is an alternate universe. Keith, I know nothing about video games, and I certainly don't know anything about the Dune video game. Yeah, Darth, I think that's kind of true. Strike, to me, is an attempt to be a mechanics-first game that then takes the resolution of mechanics and is very, very purposeful about then converting them into a fictional element. So it's mechanics first, but then it's kind of like Torchbearer in that way, in that it's very much driven by the mechanics, but it's really important to the game that you then take those mechanics and use those mechanics and those outcomes to storytell, which I appreciate, which is why I like Strike and why I like Torchbearer. Interesting. Is Beast Feast is like the Dungeon Meshy one, right? I wish we could show these things on. It would be cool to go through them with you guys. Yeah, Delicious and Dungeon. All three, the touchstones are Delicious and Dungeon, which, as my patrons know, they made me watch a couple episodes of, and I hated. Monster Hunter World, no idea what that is, but it sounds terrible. And then One Piece, which is that 7 trillion episode manga/anime, which Bob goes on about, which looks completely and totally stupid, and every character in it makes me want to be like, what is going on? And people are talking about oh yeah, you eat magic fruit and then you lose the ability to swim. And I'm like, I know some people like anime. Do the Dune games let you be a human worm hybrid? Okay. Only one person in history was a human worm hybrid. That's the one that I thought looked kind of interesting. Strange New Worlds. Ooh, Forrest, you had your first PC death. How did the death occur? Did they go out in a blaze of glory, or did they decide to risk it all and it came up fear? Does your dislike of sci-fi settings, Star Wars, Trek, etc., also extend to Warhammer 40K? Here's the thing. I like Warhammer 40K as a concept, but I don't actually know, and I could probably tell you a lot about, I'll sit here, I can't tell you anything about the lore, but I could probably tell you more about the lore than I care to admit. But I've never read any of the novels, and I don't really know any of the stories, and I don't really know, any of those type of things. Yes, but no. Just casually start the 5K. Is it really that long? That's crazy. Okay. There we go. Video game series. I thought it was an anime series. Okay. There is this whole genre of, sometimes I do feel a little bit disconnected because I see so many people and I realize that their tastes in TTRPGs are being entirely driven by their taste in video games. And since I've been kind of out of video games for the last 10 years or more, I just don't get it. I missed all the Souls thing, and it wouldn't have been my thing anyways, but I missed all that. So none of that appeals to me in any stretch, in any capacity whatsoever. And it's not even a graphics thing. It's not even a graphics thing. But when people talk about Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, that's legitimately a game I wouldn't want to play. I didn't want to play Link as Ocarina of Time because for me, what makes a fun Legend of Zelda game is that sort of top down, left, right. You know what I mean? That's what Zelda is to me. I enjoy the gameplay of that. Making it into a 3D game where you can just go and run it, that to me is not. That's not what Zelda is. It might be an interesting game, but it's also just true even of TTRPGs. I like classic TTRPGs, and even though the graphics aren't as good, quote unquote, I prefer that sort of you're stuck on a grid and you're moving around, and I like the classic style. I don't like the way that most TTRPGs are sort of structured. John, that's how we do it. What would a Dune Daggerheart campaign frame look like? Maybe campaign frame homebrew stream sometime. I'm hesitant to do a campaign frame stream. We could do it, and we could definitely shoot the shit, but it would not be coming from a place of expertise, Sandor. I mean, this is a brand new thing, kind of. I mean, you might say, well, stuff like this has existed before. Yeah, sort of, kind of, but not really. And so I don't have enough experience with the game and the meta concept to feel really comfortable putting this stuff out here. I mean, props to people who I see posting stuff on Reddit. I even think I saw somebody posting something on DriveThruRPG. I'm I like to think that I'm pretty well versed in this stuff, but even I wouldn't have the confidence to release something. I mean, maybe they're just putting something together and putting it out there, but I would be pretty hesitant to say that I know how to make a campaign frame. Risk it all at the end of a big fight. Lots of players very low. Sounds awesome. I mean, go for it, right? Risk it for the biscuit. I mean, if it's a big fight and you're risking it all and it doesn't go your way, I mean, at least you feel awesome about that. And at the end of the day, that the choice is yours, that Wilderfeast TTRPG is hype. Which one is that one? Not Grimwild. Did we look at Wilderfeast? No, we did not look at Wilderfeast. I was thinking of Grimwild, and what's the other one? I always get confused. I was thinking of Grimwild and Wild Sea. That must be another word that people are using all the time. Wild. Yeah, lots of love for Mothership. Actually, the authors of Mothership used to be friends of mine before they became huge and big, and they were also better friends with my ex-girlfriend, so I don't really hang out anymore. I would like Colossus if it was not Colossus of the dry lands, if it was Colossus of the fantasy lands. I don't really like the Old West vibe of that, too. Sweet Threat says, Souls influenced TTRPG nerds can be very difficult. Amen, Sweet Threat. Amen. What ended my joy in video games? Man, I'm trying to think what ended my joy in video games. What were the games that I was playing that really just ended it? I don't even know now. I mean, definitely a defining moment for me was let me see. Yeah, okay. Final Fantasy 15. When that came out, I bought a PS4 so that I could buy the game. And I had missed Final Fantasy 13 because I didn't have a PS. I played Final Fantasy 12. It was the last Final Fantasy I played. I missed Final Fantasy 13 completely because I didn't have a PS3. People said I didn't miss much. And then 14 had come out, but I didn't want to play an MMO again. And then so 15 came out, and I bought a PS4 to play it. And I can honestly tell you, it's in the shrink wrap, and I've never played a single PS4 game. I bought a PS4 to play Final Fantasy 15, and I just like saw the art and I saw what it was about and I saw people talking about it online, and it literally just, it ended. It just right there at that moment, my love for video games died. That's the way I mean, that's just what happened. And then years later, my buddy was living with me during COVID, and he played the Final Fantasy Reborn, whatever the first one was. And I watched him play that, and I went, "What the fuck? What is this? This is the worst thing I've ever seen." There were scenes in that game that I remember. There's like a scene where you're like navigating through like the slums of Midgard, and you go through this area. And like in Final Fantasy VII, it was like, I don't know, a 10-minute, maybe a 5-minute screen where you just had to walk around. You had to go underneath the tunnel. There's like an old abandoned crane. And like, there was seriously like, I don't know, like 1,000 bad guys. And it like took him like over an hour just to get through this one part. And I was like, he'd been playing the game for like 70 hours. And I'm like, this is just part 1 of 3. Like, it reminded me of the Hobbit movie, right? You know, the Hobbit was this like charming little book, and I loved it, and I still love it. And then they made it into like 3 awful movies full of shit that didn't exist. And it was just like, bleh. Now, am I hype about the remaster? Cautiously. Could that be the first new video game that I've ever played? Yes. I mean, I don't know if that counts because it's a remaster of a classic game, but yeah. So Final Fantasy VIII also has an interesting hobby or interesting thing for me, which is Final Fantasy VIII was the first Final Fantasy that I didn't really care about. Because like when I played Final Fantasy VII, like my big save was like 100 hours. You know, I raced chocobos. I got the golden chocobo. I, beat Ruby Weapon. I beat Emerald Weapon. I got Knights of the Round. I got all the stuff. Mega All. I got everything. Not everything. Like I'm not a super completionist, but I had basically near max level characters, all the thing. In Final Fantasy VIII, I basically ran through the game as quickly as I possibly could. And I didn't do anything extra, and just kind of like ran through it as quickly as I possible. And I just didn't enjoy the game, and they were like obsessed with like shoving the card game down your throat, and I just didn't care about it. And and the characters, I just didn't, they were like all kind of like the samey to me. Like Renoa, Quistis, Selphie, they were all just kind of like the same. Irvin, Zell, like they all just felt the same to me. And like it's when like Cloud started it, but like Darth, like Cloud started it for sure, but like this like moody emo edgelord main character is just not my cup of tea. I don't know. It was not my favorite experience. And then FF9 came out, right at the end of PS2. And I love that game, like, so much. Especially after playing Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, where you could only have 3 people in your party. Like, playing Final Fantasy IX and going back to fantasy and having a black mage and having 4 people in your party, and like the color, the use of color, and the use of like an artistic style rather than trying to make it this like pseudo, you know. And I love Final Fantasy IX. And then like nobody else really liked it at the time. I've learned since then that like the Final Fantasy IX creator like thought it was like his favorite game, and it's a really good game. But it came out right as the PlayStation 1 was ending, and so it kind of like didn't get a chance to really thrive. And people, I think, were off of it because of the fantasy theme and because of the thing. And then came Final Fantasy X, which I understand a lot of people put near the top of the list, if not the top of the list, and I absolutely hated it. Hated it. Hated it. Hated it. X2 doesn't even count. I didn't even play X2. Okay. I didn't even play X2. Okay. Final Fantasy X. Ha 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 ha. Like, so there is, but outside of anything, and people who watch this show might know the answer to this. Outside of any of the choices that they made, like no overworld map, you're literally just walking down a hallway for the entire game, outside of not giving a shit about Blitzball, can anyone tell me why Final Fantasy X ruined Final Fantasy games for me? I'll give you a minute. Actually ruined video games for me, honestly. Keythor got it. That's right. Voice acting. Voiceovers. I don't like voice acting. I don't like voice work in my games. I don't. So I prefer to read text boxes. I really do. I really do. I also hated where dialogue scenes that used to just be like the characters in their sort of like normal overworld exploration map, and you would just get dialogue box, started getting like, it was like a movie scene, but it wasn't like a cut scene in like a full motion video type way. It was still their regular character polygons, but they were just like, sitting around the fire and talking, and it felt so bad and weird and awkward, and I just didn't like it at all. So, on a side note, I hated the battle system in Final Fantasy X because it was boring and repetitive. Oh, there's the turtle monster. Time to swap in Auron so that he can use his sword against it because it's weak to piercing attack. Oh, here comes the monster that only Lulu can hit with her fire spell. Oh, there's a flying person. Better swap in Waka to hit it with a blitzball. It was just like, oh, there's the fast enemy that can't be hit by anybody except for Titus. It was like the same thing over and over and over and over. There was like no skill to it at all. It just felt so boring to me. It was just very boring. Todd, it is very ironic. Look, I will fully admit that. I will fully admit that. To be fair, it's not like Critical Role made the game. I like ATB, but I also like Final Fantasy Tactics. I like thinking about your turn and all that other stuff. That's why you got to play Final Fantasy 1, Derek, because Final Fantasy 1, the random encounters, number one, they can quite literally kill you, but number two, the depletion, Final Fantasy 1, in my personal opinion, is the closest video game experience to playing old school D&D, because not only can the random encounter kill you, you really don't want a random encounter, but you also need them to level up. Now, to be fair, Final Fantasy should give you experience for treasure. That would be cooler, but that would be more like actual Final Fantasy. But not only do you need not only do the encounters can they kill you, but you do not have the kind of infinite resources to heal up. It's a slot-based system. You can only have 99 shitty, heal potions. It's very difficult just to even get through a dungeon, let alone explore it for treasure and important, treasures and important magic items. So it's like legitimately like scary, and there are dungeons in that game like the Marsh Cave, or going, the Marsh Cave, the Earth Cave, the Ice Cave that are just like legitimately, I think, difficult because you might go and just get killed and you have to play it, start over again. I mean, I think Final Fantasy 1 is a sublime game. Well, to be fair, if you're talking about Garland isn't really a boss fight. Not really. In fact, really, the first boss that you fight in the entire game is Lich, because the Garland is not really a boss. He's basically just a swordsman. And then the pirates are just pirates. You fight them normally. And then even the vampire, which you fight in the Earth Cave in Melmond, is just a vampire. It's when you first fight Lich that you get your first full battle fight. And that's really scary. I have not played Ark the Lad. Never even heard of it. Yeah, I was never really a big Kingdom Hearts guy either. Rob, just curious on your opinion, because we're talking Daggerheart and a little Critical Role. Do you think they're going to use Daggerheart and try for Campaign 4 or stick with D&D because it's proven? Great question, Rob. So when we first reviewed Daggerheart, well, I don't even want to say review. When we first looked at Daggerheart, I said two things about it. I said, number one, the game is in trouble because I like it. And if I like a game, that's potentially a problem, because it means that game is going to appeal to a very limited number of people. Now, I've been surprised the reaction that we've been seeing to Daggerheart, which is great. So that's that. Number two, I said, I'm going to do what I can to support this game because I think it's cool and it's interesting and it's fun. And I think that a game system like this, I love PBTA. I think PBTA makes people into better GMs. And I think that a lot of people who've been playing other game systems, this is really the game system that they should be playing. And I will try to support it in a way that I can through this channel, through our Patreon, through our actual play. But if Critical Role doesn't play it, I think it's going to be DOA. I honestly think it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50. I would say it's a coin flip. Now, a lot of people have speculated that Age of Umbra was sort of like a toe dip to see how it did. And if, people just, nobody was showing up and people were saying, oh, what is this? I'm not going to watch this. It's not D&D. That Critical Role might be like, yeah, we were just, we like this game and we wanted to support it with a limited episode. So, which is smart. They got a lot of money caught up in that, in that business. But D&D is a hell of a drug. And I do agree that D&D is the bloom is off the rose. I think a lot of people, well, that's something else entirely, Derek. I believe we could see the end of Critical Role as we know it. I think a lot of these people, so let's break down a couple of things. Number one, I think a lot of these people don't want to keep doing this. That's the sense I get. Maybe my opinion is actually more valid because I don't really watch these people all the time. But like I've only caught them in snippets over the years. And I just get like this impression that a lot of these people are just doing this because they maybe were contractually obligated to or something like that, or they agreed to help a friend or something. And now they're kind of like, look, I make enough money and I don't really need to keep doing this. And I don't really want to keep playing these games anymore. We've been doing this for, 10 years. Critical Role does make enough money. And part of the reason why Critical Role can make a game like Daggerheart or Candela Obscura is because they don't need to be successful. They can just be like, this could literally be a pet project for us. And if we break even on it, great. That's cool, which is nice. But I think I, generally speaking, agree with Thad. I think I think they have done a poor job marketing this game. I think coming out with this deeply entrenched, it is only because I really like this game that I did not like fully shit on it for being so integrated with Demiplane and Nexus. I don't like Demiplane. I don't like Nexus. So for them not to come out with like a fully supported Foundry or Owlbear Rodeo or whatever, or a very super lightweight way of playing it or handling it, like, I think that was a mistake. And it seems like it didn't have the sort of the organizational element to it, which I expected or thought I would see. But if they don't play it, I'm going to agree with Darth Gorlock. Not using Daggerheart for Campaign 4 would be a death sentence, but it is definitely much better to kill Daggerheart than it is to kill the Critical Role show and try to support Daggerheart. Yeah. I wish Tier 1 lasts longer. It's where I like to play the most. Well, Edward, that's why you got to be part of our complete rebuild of the game, where we are going to make it go from levels 1 to 12. And then Tier 1 will be levels 1, 2, and 3. Tier 2 will be levels 4, 5, and 6. Tier 3 will be levels 7, 8, 9. And Tier 4 will be levels 10, 11, 12. That way, you could play Tier 1 longer. And I agree with you. I think it should be longer. But I think it's part of that. This is like a very esoteric metaphor. When I was a kid, I did Taekwondo. I started when I was a young, I don't know how old I was. And I did it throughout my teen years. And I got to be a black belt, 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo. When I started in Taekwondo, we were part of the Kukikwan school. Anyways, and when I was part of the Kukikwan, I might be mispronouncing that. It's been a long time. School, there were the Poom ranks, which are, white belt is the first Poom rank. And so you advance through the Poom ranks, right, your belts, until you get to the Dan ranks, which are the black belts. And the Poom ranks are like, first Poom, second Poom, third Poom, fourth Poom, fifth Poom, sixth Poom, seventh Poom. And when and a lot of schools at the time did this, the way the Pooms between belts were represented by a tip of the next color. So you had a white belt, and then you became a white belt with a yellow tip, and then you became a yellow belt, and then you became a yellow belt with a green tip, and then you became a green belt, and then you became a green belt with a blue tip, and then you became a blue belt, and then you became a blue belt with a red tip, and then you became a red belt, and then you became a red belt with a black tip, and then you became a black belt. Now, when I had stopped doing it and I came back, I was talking to my instructor, and I don't remember how this came up, but like maybe someone I knew or their like younger kid was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a white belt and I became a yellow belt." And I asked my instructor what happened, and he said, "Well, we don't give them a yellow tip anymore. We just put them straight to a yellow belt. It's still the same rank, but people really want to get like a new belt, for their first promotion. And if we just give them a yellow tip, we tend to lose a lot of people in the school. So I think that's the reason why Tier 1 is only one level, because they want people to feel like, oh, look, like we're actually advancing and we get this new proficiency and doing more damage. And it feels like a bigger level up maybe than it would, So, yeah. I mean, to Walter, the only thing I'll say about this is Critical Role created a publishing arm, Darrington Press, and they have hired people to create games for Darrington Press. Well, right now, Darrington Press has 2 role-playing games out, and I think they have 1 or 2 board games. But let's say Darrington Press creates another 2 role-playing games. Like, is Critical Role really beholden to only play the games that their company creates? It does seem like it's a bit of a I don't know, of a problem. At the same time, they did hire Chris Perkins. They did hire Jeremy Crawford. That's got to mean something, right? Right. Woodland Fellowship, I actually completely agree with this. Campaign 4 might very well be Daggerheart. But Campaign 4 might also be 30 sessions, right? Or something like that. And it might be that it takes place over, 8 months or something, not 3 years. And I think that is much more likely to happen. Darth, I mean, that's, unfortunately for me, that's the reality of my situation. I mean, this YouTube channel now supports my livelihood, my business. I don't have a family, so I'm only supporting my dogs and my roommate. But I pay people like Bob money, and I'd love to be able to pay, my friends money and keep them. I have several friends who are not working right now. It'd be cool if I could give them a job. That'd be awesome. But you got to make money to do that. Hi, buddy. Speaking of pups, what's going on, sir? He went away. Rob, I mean, here's the thing, Rob. It doesn't matter. If you enjoy the game, they can't take it away from you. So who cares if Critical... Now, here's the thing. That won't affect my enjoyment of the game if Critical Role doesn't decide to play it. It will affect how popular the game becomes. And for some people, it is very important that they are playing a game that is in the zeitgeist. For me, it is not. Edward, that's awesome. Thank you. How should Daggerheart have been marketed? Well, Keith, I think they should have been more sensitive to the fact that people were going to... This is a radically different way to play games. And I think they should have marketed it in a way that was sort of explaining to so many people that some of the problems that they've been having with D&D and Pathfinder 2 and other games is because of a dissonance between what they expect out of the game and what the game's rules are codified to deliver. And do a better job maybe of teaching. Maybe they were expecting people like me, I don't know, to teach people. But I've also seen a lot of bad information out there on the internet. And I don't think that's anybody's fault. I just think that there's not a lot of people who have 2 feet in, sort of trad D20 games and also fiction forward PBTA style, Blades in the Dark style games. So it's a tough thing to do. And I think they underestimated how much it is going to really boggle people's minds and how badly it could be perceived if people run this game, and they go, oh, it's not that different than D&D. And that's good. That's a good thing. But at the same time, you're not really living up to its full potential. Oh, Chris, it definitely works weird. You'd have to completely rejigger the whole thing. Chris, the other problem that I have is I want multi-class to happen at level 3, not level 5. I'm totally cool with multi-classing not being something that you can do at level 1 or even level 2. But I feel like in the current game, which goes to 10, waiting till 5 to multi-class feels like it's too long for me personally. Not because of a power thing or a power imbalance or any of that stuff, but just because I think your character identity is so defined by then that I think it comes a little bit late. And it's weird that hey, we've been playing and now granted, it's a fiction first game. You don't get to at least in my game, you can't just multi-class because you chose it on level up. It's not the way that works. It's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. It shouldn't work. It shouldn't work that way in D&D, and it shouldn't work that way in Pathfinder 2, and it shouldn't work that way in D&D 3rd edition, but it does. But yeah, so I just think that by that time you're kind of locked into that. But I don't know. I caveat everything with I haven't played through levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yet, and then got multi-class, The problem I have with tier 1 being the tutorial is there's going to be a natural incentive for people to create monsters and environments that are designed for tier 1. And because of the way of the tiering system, when you go to tier 2, using a tier 1 monster is pretty limited. So you're going to end up creating a lot of monsters and you're not going to get a lot of mileage out of them or a lot of environments because they're only used for the first level of the game. I have all my Taekwondo belts somewhere too. They're in my attic in a box somewhere, but I have them. I have them. Cephalopod, I wouldn't hate that. Maybe something like that. That could work too. Well, it depends, Todd. I mean, if they think that they could make more money playing dungeon, obviously, if they play Daggerheart, it's going to be good for Daggerheart, and it's going to be good for Darrington Press, which is good for Critical Role. But if that comes at the expense that they lose thousands and thousands of opportunities to plug D&D shit and get all sorts of money because of D&D or D&D plugins or D&D whatever, then that's not as good. And really, this is a test. Who's popular? Is it Critical Role or is it D&D? If Critical Role announced that they were going to start playing whatever, Earth Dawn, would people care? Are they really there to see Matt and Laura and Travis and all them, Liam and stuff? Or are they there to watch people play D&D? You know? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think that they're going to do some stuff for Daggerheart, but I think it's more of like they want to build a publishing arm. And they're like, let's bring in people who know the business. 40 episodes? I can work with 40 episodes. Yeah, I think that's just done, you know? Michael says, Dimension 20 has had gangbuster success with shorter campaigns. I wouldn't be surprised if Critical Role moved towards doing that as well. I mean, here's the thing. One of the things that I felt bad about, and then I didn't feel as bad about it, is like when we did actual plays, we've done a couple on this channel. We've done three campaigns. I mean, some of them were only, 10 or 12 sessions. But even after 12 sessions, our final audience was less than half of what our starting audience was. So when you're a Critical Role and you're like your first, dozen episodes are getting, 20,000 people or whatever. And then when you're playing, 100 episodes later and you have less than 5,000 people, that's got to be tough. And it's really tough to get somebody, like if you only have a 10 or a 20 episode run and you're like 6 or 7 episodes into it and you go, hey, we're about like a quarter way through this campaign, catch up, go watch the last 15 hours of the campaign and you'll be all caught up to keep going with the campaign. Cool. I can do that. If you come in and like, hey, go watch this 200 hours of content so that you can get caught up with where we are in the campaign, you just go, fuck it. I think most people just go, fuck it. Jekyll, yes. Technically there was. I think it's so old that it kind of rotted away, but technically it is in there. No one is asking for it. See, Boothby trolled and tipped for a Call of Cthulhu one-shot, but he brings it up all the time, partially to troll me, but partially because he's serious. So that keeps getting, sort of remembered. Nobody cares about the Candela Obscura one. Yes, it will be very interesting. It will be very interesting. Now, Forsyth, that is true, but we don't actually know how big the printing was. Maybe they made the printing purposely small because they'd rather it sell out and be like, oh my God, did you hear Daggerheart sold out? I can't find it anywhere. I can't find it. Maybe that's better for the hype. I don't know. I don't know what kind of, I don't know what kind of size it is. John says, I am the only one within my friend group to have already ran it. Lots of interest out there, but not much movement. I thought we looked at that, Thad. Gen Con. I mean, aren't they trying to put together like an organized play? Something. So, Daggerheart, and to be fair, they might have like their, because Critical Role is going to Gen Con. So they might, I mean, they have 77. That's actually, for a brand new game, actually, that's kind of a lot. Oop, that's not it. There we go. So, like, obviously some of these are being pushed, but like if you take a game like Shadowrun, you know, which most people know is a, you know, kind of a con beloved game. You know, Savage Worlds has 80 games. Shadow Dark has 72. Shadowrun has 123. Daggerheart has 77. That's actually a lot. That's actually more than I remember it being. Maybe they added events or something like that. Well, Thaddeus, great question, but it's a brand new game. I would hope most of them are tutorials. I mean, you can't expect people to know the game, right? I mean, here's obviously your introduction, but these are regular ones. They're all sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. These are 0 of 30, by the way. So each of these slots has 30 slots, and they are all sold out. There are 2 tickets available for this one. Is this even Daggerheart? Here, nope, these are full events. 36 events. 36 tickets. 36 tickets. All sold out. Every single Daggerheart game is sold out except for La Venganza del Bosque, ESP, and it is all in Spanish. A group of secretive, I don't know what Cazadores says, is something looking for magical creatures in the forest, but now they have to stop something without something Dehar Rastros. Cazadores is hunters. Okay. A retired adventurer is investigating these illegal activities. Ultimately, they know they are looking to capture a manticore that is rumored to live in the forest nearby. Look, my Spanish isn't great. Without more pistas. Look. But look, it is. Look, learn to play Daggerheart in Spanish with this adventure for level 1. There you go. Pistas is clues. Okay, thank you. Anyways, so there you go. We've got a Latino, the Latin Lounge, which is running Spanish versions of the game. So that's actually sweet. So that's the only it, you know. Everything else for Daggerheart is sold out, and you know, I feel really bad because I took 6 years of Spanish in high school, and then I took Spanish in college. I've been to Spain for like a month. I've been to Argentina. I've been to Uruguay. I haven't had to use my Spanish in like 10 years, so I don't know. Meno. Sweet, Enrique. But yeah, I mean, I think 77 is a lot. Somebody said, look at that. Now, Magpie shows up huge. And so Magpie runs a lot of games. I don't know how Magpie affords it, honestly. If you've been to Gen Con, Magpie, not only do they have a big booth, but then Magpie has like their own personal room outside of the convention hall where they have like their own store. And then last year, at least, they had this whole floor on the Hyatt, which is connected via the Skywalk. It's catty corner to the convention center. They had this entire floor set up with like 7 massive conference rooms just running Magpie stuff. Tons of Avatar Legends, but a bunch of Root as well. But if we go over to Root, Root, I mean, it is Gen Con. Everything kind of sells out. But you can see, I mean, Root not as sold out. And the demos are all open. Look at that. All the demo games are open for Root. But the actual adventures, the 4-hour slots, somebody said there's Legend of the 5 Rings. 52 events for Legend of the 5 Rings. Let's take a look what we got here. There is an L5R organized play, I think. That is also true, John. In the City of Lies, a simple act such as a stolen sake recipe can cause a war to brew in the shadows, one that could consume the city, the Scorpion clan, and even the entire empire. Who is this being run by? Oh, interesting. It's being run by Edge. Okay, this is the organized play thing. Heroes of Rokugan. This is what I was thinking that these all were, but yeah. John, they certainly do. It's usually somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 to $2 an hour. It depends on the event. But you can see here, like if you want to get into this Just Give the Word event, it's a $10 event ticket fee in addition to your $150 badge. So yeah, it does charge. Yeah, John, it's not great. In fact, Gen Con is kind of the only con that still does it. They can just do it because they sell out every year and they can do whatever they want. I always tell people, like, you have to pay $150 just to get a badge to Gen Con. And it's only for 4 days. And then you have to fly there or you have to drive there. And then you've got to get a hotel, which is insane. And then you have to pay $10 to play in one game with a bunch of strangers that you'll probably never see again in your entire life. With a GM that you've never met before and you have no idea anything about them. And I always say that, like, on Night's Last Call, for $5, let alone $10, you can join our Patreon. And if in some cases, especially if you pay $10 and you want to play Pathfinder, you can play 20 games a month. It's crazy. Yeah, that's the pitch. Is there Pendragon? Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. I see Slug Blaster. Slug Blaster's got 7. What up, Slug Blaster? Starfinder has 186. Starfinder 2nd edition is releasing at Gen Con. But all their events are $10. But see, here's what I'm talking about. That's a lot of events, right, for Starfinder. But look how many of these are not sold out. Now, granted, some of these events are huge. They're 35 people, but they're not sold out. I mean, that's what I'm saying, John. You said it. I didn't say it. What were we looking up? Pendragon? Pendragon. I love that this is just called Powered by the Apocalypse. Pirate Borg has 95. Jesus. But again, some of them are sold out, but not all of them. Here we go. Pendragon, 23 games. To be clear, I don't get to bitch about Gen Con this year because that man is being my sugar daddy. So here we go. We have the Adventure of Morgan Le Fay's Challenge 06 sold out. Ooh, a $24 slot that is sold out. Jesus Christ, that is expensive. Oh, interesting. Community content is a collection of adventures written and published by the community, handpicked by Chaosium to be featured at Gen Con. The Adventure of the Craven Knight tells the story of Sir Bayard, a vile and cowardly knight who, having been foretold of his demise at the hands of a fellow knight, has gone to extraordinary and insidious lengths to ensure his own survival. It falls upon the player knights to bring Sir Bayard to justice and have him pay for his sins. They must overcome challenges of faith and fairy and face a foe who has no intention of facing them in fair combat. So it sounds like this is some sort of special Chaosium event. What up, Darth? Oh, cool.
Darth Glock tip $25. Speaking of Gen Con, any plans to do anything with Battle Cry when it releases, other than a copyright claim?
Well, I mean, Darth, we'll definitely take a look at it. I mean, when's the last time that a new PF2 book came out? that really, you know what? It was the, we did miss the Mythic book. But I think that's just because I was so disappointed in the Mythic rules, and they just made me very sad. Whereas, in theory, I'm really excited about the Commander and the Guardian. But we'll see. But yeah, we'll definitely do a deep look at that for sure. That being said, what are we going to do with it? I don't know. I mean, you tell me. Is it going to be part into? Is it going to be part put into Northern Reaches? Ray Chow is running all those Slug Blaster games. What a G. That's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, Pendragon seems like it's pretty good. Oh, here's a VIP game with David Larkins, run by the creative director of the game itself. Chaosium, $100 to play a game with David Larkin. I don't know, Lugs. It's a great question. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. I just haven't. It hasn't grokked me the way that other games have, and I just need to. I think I just need to spend more time on it. You know, I don't know. Again, I own a lot of 2D20 stuff. I love the stuff from Odysseus. I think it's really cool. But Chaosium is really showing up this year at Gen Con for sure. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Pirate Borg. What about Morkborg? Look at that. Hey, Glicker, are you on here, Steven? Look at that. 40 Jubentias. Most of them sold out. And $54, $46 a slot. Wow. That's crazy. Seventh Sea. I don't know if that would be in the S or the numbers. By the way, look, Avatar Legends, 130. But the demo, most of them are demo, and most of them are not sold out. The intro, which is a slightly longer games, mostly are sold out. And then here are actual adventures. All the actual adventures are sold out. Interesting. Seventh Sea, John, has 14 games. Looks like they're all part of some sort of organized play. Heroes of Altamira. What the fuck is that? Chupentia? We talked about it on your channel. It's the Chinese storytelling thing where you like spend 2 hours just reading your background packet and then you play like one time or something like that. Only 5 for Fabula Ultima. Look at that, by the way. 1,271 Dungeons and Dragons. What the hell is this? Dark Sun Arena Tournament. What is this? Is it like a D&D tournament? Oh, that's sick. Oh, look, they're even playing out in the Lucas Oil Stadium. All right, that's kind of sweet. I'm sure they count all the editions because I don't see D&D 4th edition, D&D 3rd edition, D&D 2nd edition here. We got 13 Earth Dawn representing. Morkborg has 40. Pirate Borg has more than Morkborg. Only 4 for Draw Steel. Yeah, they must not be representing. I got to be honest with you. Doesn't Draw Steel just feel like they have not really? I mean, I know that they've been pushing. I know I'm a patron. I'm a patron of Matt Colville. But man, it just feels like no one's talking about that game anymore. DC 20 has got some games here. Still in the beta. Yeah, but it will be by the time Gen Con hits, right? I mean, wouldn't that be a great opportunity, Darth, for your brand new game and to like run demos for people the entire con? Right? Wouldn't that be something that you would think you would want to do? That's what I think would. D&D, but actually Monopoly. Well, it's sold out. The iconic role-playing game clashes with the iconic property trading game created by Deficient Master. See if you could pass Go to face off against the capitalist dragon Monopoly. Gen Con, everybody. There you go, lurking for ears. Oh, that's with Baron? Oh, that's fantastic. You're talking. Don't bring up Talisman. Stephen Glicker is the Talisman master. 10 games of Cosmere, all sold out. And these are 20 slots. Let's see what we got for D&D. Do we got anything good for D&D? Look at that. Ooh, two copies of Grimwild. 27 Hackmaster. What up? Oh, look at that. One Heart. 2 Girls by Moonlight. What up? 13 for Genesis. 2 for Gangbusters. 40 for Fossilized Violence. I don't think I know Fossilized Violence. I don't think I know that game. I'm going to go with 0, Jackal, without even looking. Monster Heart, Monster Heart, Monster Heart. We have 1 game of Monster Hearts. What happens if I can't check my MySpace when we get there? Your students off at boarding school. What unites you is the fact that many consider your parents monsters. Will you become parents or will you chart your own path? Welcome to Slasher High. Actually, Beowulf, Monster Hearts is literally my favorite game that I have ever played at a convention ever, and I played it with a bunch of strangers. 23 Mutes and Masterminds. What up? That's cool. Two games of the One Ring. Any Wicked Ones? You mean that game that betrayed us? No, just kidding. A lot of those. 13 Traveler. 1 Twilight 2000. 40 Urban Shadows. 27, only 27 Vampire. 58 Vast Grim, which is just another version of Pirate Borg. Which version of Warhammer Fantasy is this? Oh, 4th edition, okay. Tales of the Valiant has 47 games. A lot of those. Oh, we wanted to look up, what do we want to look up? Wicked Ones. No Wicked Ones. How's our boy? Oh, the Wild Sea has 1. Okay, they had a different spelling. There are 30 of the One Ring, and they're all sold out except for 1, which has 4 tickets left. Good for the One Ring. I'm going to go probably guess that there's no Panic at the Dojo. No Panic at the Dojo. 12 Outgunned, though. All right, I did want to look at D&D. I wanted to see what they got going on with Dungeons & Dragons. I mean, we can't look at all of it, but... All right, we got this arena tournament. 3D Dungeon Crawlers. 5E Jousting Tournament. 80s D&D Cartoon Adventure. Oh, man. The problem is it's hard. You can't. A lot of Curse of Strahd. Curse of the Macho Man Randy Strahd. All right, maybe I would play that one. But it's still like it's frustrating, at least the way that this is set up, because you can't actually see what. Apparently, Dresden Files is labeled under D&D. That's weird, unless it's like. Oh, here we go. Fair Heroes with Ginny D. 6 tickets, 4 hours, sold out. $254 a ticket. Man, I wish I was Ginny D. You do get a swag bag, and you do get to take a selfie. So, there is something there. Lugs. I don't particularly like the storyteller system. I mean, I played it in the 90s like every other person, and I just never really got into it. Of the ones that were originally presented, I liked Hunter, because you get to kill vampires. Although I didn't mind Werewolf as much, but some of the other ones, Mage, Changeling, Vampire, weren't really for me. Michael, more than good for her. It's great for her. I mean, she's made a whole career out of being, for role-playing games. I mean, that's fantastic. Isn't that the dream for all of us? Ooh, look at that. Someone's playing Tomoe-chan. Sweet. Oh, it's 5th edition. Oh, they reprinted it in Quest from the Infinite Staircase. I had to look at my. Ooh, Isle of Dread. Yeah, lots of D&D games. Most of these are sold out, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed that. I mean, there's obviously some that are in here. Oh, is this the AD&D first edition GAX thing? Yeah. First edition. Yeah, advanced. It's like the charity fundraiser where you just kind of go in and get meat grinded. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. It's coming up quicker. It's coming up quick. It's coming up real quick. Let's see. What is it? 3 weeks? I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm going to be helping, Roll for Combat out a little bit with their booth. But I don't actually know what I'm planning on doing. Hey, look, there's that Spanish group again, I think. Yep, the Latin Lounge, playing some Fabula Ultima. That's sick. How many magical kitties save the day? We still have a chance. None. 7 games of Lex Arcana. Oh. Anyways. A lot of role-playing games. A lot of other stuff, though, too. Although, if you are going to Gen Con, a standard session in Beowulf, a standard session at Gen Con is 4 hours. Most of the time, things follow the standard slot format. There's usually something like, it's like 9, like you can see here. This is 9 to 11. That's usually a slot. And then there's usually like one from like 2 to 6. And then there's usually like, most people do like 3 slots a day. It doesn't always line up perfectly, but it's usually like there's like a morning, an afternoon, and an evening. Usually something like, 9 to 11, noon to 4, 5 to 9, or 6 to 10, or something like that, so that the people running it and stuff can go get dinner. Look at that. All of the Dragonbane are sold out except for the Sinking Tower tournament. But most of the time, Beowulf, they are for us. So what I was going to say for members of this chat community, if you're going to Gen Con and you didn't sign up for anything, this is where I learned as an adult. This is where I learned, nowadays, of course, we have the internet, we have YouTube, but back in the late 2000s, okay, circa 2008 or whatever, where I learned about most of these games that aren't D&D, is actually what's called iGod. And you'll find it in the Zed Isle of Misfit events. So it's not in role-playing games, but if you go to the Isle of Misfit events, which are also called the Zed because their keywords are Zed, you will see this thing here. It's called Indie Games on Demand. There is a $2 ticket, but you don't really ever need to buy a ticket. No one ever buys a ticket for the event. You just show up with generics. If you're going to Gen Con, you know what a generic is. But a good advice, by the way, if you are going to Gen Con, is get 10 or 20 generic tickets. You can always exchange them at the end of the show for credit for your account, which you can use next year for your badge purchase. But additionally, a lot of times you can just show up to a table And if someone doesn't show up, which happens a lot, if someone doesn't show up, or sometimes if like the GM's like, oh yeah, sure, we'll take you, and then you pay with your generic tickets, they'll let you in. Anyways, iGod works entirely off of generic tickets, although you could theoretically buy a ticket for the specific event. But they run these slots, and they say they run for 2 hours, but in my experience, they usually run for 2 or 3, 4 hours sometimes. And there is no set schedule of games. It's whatever GMs that they have there, and those GMs say, hey, I'm going to run Brindlewood Bay and Cyberpunk and Fall of Magic. And another person goes, oh, I'm running Monster Hearts 2, Quiet Year, Trophy Dark, and, The Very Good Dogs of Chernobyl. And you just get this like really, really crazy array of games. And a lot of my first experiences, especially with PBTA games, came from Indie Games on Demand. And it's awesome. You should definitely check it out. And it's really, really cool because you don't really have to buy a ticket. You just kind of show up in advance, wait in line, and get into it. And it runs pretty much all day. When's the last event? Looks like their last event is 8 to 10. So they, basically every 2 hours they fire off another group of people. It's really great. I can't recommend it enough. So cool stuff. Oh, damn. That sucks. I thought I told you about it. Yeah, it sure is. Anyways, Gen Con is quite the experience. I don't know what to expect this year. We'll see. Maybe I can hang out and meet Matt Mercer and we'll become besties. He and I are like almost the same age. Just saying. Could be Matt Mercer bestie. What's up? Matt, call me senpai. I am looking forward though. We get there a little early. I'm going to help, Roll for Combat set up their booths, and it's a cool opportunity to get to hang out with some of the people. Like the last couple of years we've gotten dinner or lunch with like Professor DM, and I think he's good people, good conversation. So I've always enjoyed that. Obviously, get to hang out with Steven and Mark, and that's a lot of really cool, So yeah, it's fun. I got to meet meet Mark's partner at PAX, and she's coming. So, I thought she was a lot of fun and clever and smart and skilled and talented. And so that'll be cool to see her again. And there's some people that I like only really see at Gen Con, like, that I've met just through through the channel, through the internet, like Jess Redicop and stuff like that, which is really fun. Kelsey and things like that. So that's cool. Yeah, they'll hire me as the June GM for the Daggerheart actual play. I'll become the official sponsor of Critical. Critical Role goes, look, we're gonna go play We're gonna go play Dungeons and Dragons, okay? But will you and your group be our official Daggerheart? Hey, Sandor, I listen. I was on longer than I expected. I didn't think I was going to be on for 2 hours, but here we are, coming up on 2 hours. Yeah. And I have no problem with that. By the way, we do need to figure out PAX, by the way. Actually, though, and is Darth here? Darth is here. So real talk. People have joked about this, but I wonder if there would be any market for a Daggerheart mega game. Obviously, we have Northern Reaches, which we run for Pathfinder 2. And we've talked about for the last year about doing Dragonbane and doing Dragontide. But a big part of the reason we want to do Dragonbane is because of Bob's enthusiasm for it. And some of our patrons are super enthused about it. And we really like offering an additional alternative to Pathfinder 2, which tends to be more crunchy. And, the people who like Dragonbane and the people who like Pathfinder 2, those are kind of different sides of a similar coin, but they're different sides. But there's this idea of like, is there a big market out there for people who are looking for a way to be able to play Daggerheart, and they don't have a way to play it because not a lot of people are running it? I don't know. So my only thought process there is like, I'd love to be able to figure out a way, if not a mega game, I would just love to be able to have a way once it gets Foundry support, to be able to sort of support that. Darth says, I think a Daggerheart mega game would fail, lol, but I assumed the game would already fail by now, so I may be a pessimist. To be fair, Darth Gorlock, you literally went into Origins, okay? Darth Gorlock came to Origins, flew in from Canada. It was awesome to get to meet him in person. He came in, and he and I were not playing because Darth came over late. I don't know if you were at an event or something. And the rest of the patrons were playing a game of Clank Catacombs, and Darth and I weren't playing. And he didn't know anything about Daggerheart. And I start talking to him while the rest of the people are playing board games. I start talking to him about Daggerheart. He hadn't watched any of our shows, of course, as a patron does. And then by the end of it, he was like, oh, wait, what? And then that night, I see a post in our Patreon. Darth's like, or beginning organizing a Daggerheart campaign on the Discord server, looking to maybe start in August. And I was like, that was quick. So, no Daggerheart mega campaign until Dragontide launches. Beowulf, if you watched the end of the last episode, you know that I have basically bequeathed that to Bob. If Bob wants to launch Dragontide, he has my blessing to do so. Obviously, I originally had very large dreams about what I wanted to do with Dragontide, but the truth is that it would be a lot of work and a lot of effort, not just in time, but in not just absolute time, but relative time as well. Meaning it would delay it even longer than it's been delayed, and it would also eat up a lot of my time. And for not a lot of people, if we get 20 or 30 people playing Dragontide, that'd be awesome. But at this time, I don't really have the ability to spend that much time on something that isn't going to be, fully, it's only going to be used by a small handful of people. Now, that being said, I don't think it's like bad what we have, but obviously I wanted to make it extremely, what's the word I'm looking for? I wanted to make it extremely detailed, for lack of a better word. I mean, obviously, Beowulf, my original dream of Dragontide was just an excuse to make a sailing game. And then I realized I was just making a sailing game. And I was like, I should stop doing this. And I should just if I want to make a sailing game, I should go make a sailing game. And you're like, oh, like a naval adventure where you fight krakens. And nope, just the sailing game. I think the semi one-shot nature of a mega game doesn't work well for PBTA. It probably does work well for Forged in the Dark games. Yes, I think there's some truth to that, especially Forged in the Dark missions, going on missions and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe that would be cool. Yeah, I think you could. That's how you would have to do it. You would have to it would have to be more structured in like a way in which you use clocks and GMs. Like you'd go on these you'd have like mega clocks and like micro clocks, and like GM's adventures would sort of tie into those mega clocks in different capacities. But I agree with you. It would have certain structural issues for sure. I mean, clocks within clocks is a great way to do it. This clock, when it finishes, starts a new clock. On average, it is a clock. Yes. But I do think that being a fiction first game and the fact that you can't TPK people is an advantage, You love your 50 clocks. It's true. I do love a lot. I don't like 50's too many, but I do like to have a lot of clocks out there. That's true. I think like in the last Blades in the Dark campaign I ran, I think there was like 10 or 11 clocks. And that's not including the players' clocks. That was like 10 or 11 GM clocks. Now, that's how you make the world seem. You got different clocks. Some are urgent. Some are important. Some are urgent and important. That's the key. And you have different time horizons. You have clocks that are ticking down and need to be addressed immediately. You have clocks that are longer filled. Again, make urgent clocks, make important clocks, and then make urgent and important clocks. Urgent and important clocks are actually kind of a cheap, like a cop-out, because if it's urgent and important, it's pretty much a no-brainer, right? You have to go deal. In fact, I would say that most adventure paths or most railroad adventures use essentially urgent and important clocks. By the way, if anybody not familiar with like the Eisenhower, right, the matrix of urgent versus important, and that you should try to focus your tasks on urgent and important tasks because you have to deal with them, and then make time for important tasks and avoid having urgent tasks eat up all your time, and then really avoid tasks that are neither urgent nor important. Because if you make a clock that is urgent and important, then not only is it, is the clock literally ticking down, like you have to deal with this immediately, but it's also, of a major consequence. So of course you're going to go deal with that. So it's not really much of an issue in that respect. But if you make some clocks that are urgent and some clocks that are important, and then you have a sort of a mix in between, I think that could be really fun because then you put the pressure on the players. Yeah. Clocks out. Edward, I'm sure we have talked infinitely about clocks throughout many past Blades in the Dark / PBTA style streams. I couldn't point you to one specifically, but yeah. Well, my players are just superior players, Darth, and they can process 10 to 11 clocks. I also like having things on the back burner, Thad, it was good seeing you. Thad, do you know when that unicorn book is coming? Excuse me. Children of the Five Winds. I mean, the cover art looks amazing. And I love the name of it. I mean, Asmodee says it's in stock. Look at that. That looks sweet. When I was a kid, I didn't like the Unicorn Clan, but now I think they're awesome. Because as a kid, I was like, unicorns? Why would I want to play people named after the unicorn? But I think they're awesome. Darth, as we sit here disagreeing.
$75, just showing some more support since I rarely make the live streams, other than an occasional dungeon stream.
Well, Darth, I really appreciate that. I like having you here, Darth. I like you're right. You don't usually make these streams, and it's nice that you will step in. So maybe we have to have some later streams, and we'll definitely got to get you back on the stream again, there, Darth. Maybe not just I feel like I've only ever had you on to talk about PF2, but there's other things that you do. We should definitely do that. Thank you, Darth. That is very, very generous. I really appreciate you finishing up our tip goal, especially since we're about to dip out here in the next 10 minutes. You hate the name? I love the name. Well, that was a little rough, Darth. I'm not gonna lie, that was a little rough. But the quality of the content was very high, but the quality of the thing was not so high. Ooh, which is a great name. Thank you for the super chat. I took your advice on spotlight management for my last Daggerheart session, and my players told me it felt like they were in the movie. Thanks for all the tips. That's awesome. I mean, I sometimes I doubt how good my advice is, but sometimes it's cool to be like, oh, maybe I actually do know what I'm talking about. Because a lot of people have said that that taking my advice has really led them to be able to play some really great episodes of Daggerheart. So I think that's amazing. So thank you there, and thank you, Darth Gorlock. Again, we'll talk, Darth. I don't know. I mean. We'll see how this whole Daggerheart thing goes off, but I would love to work with you and on maybe some ideas, especially since you're going to be playing the game, and it'd be cool to, like, you know, as we think about Duality Digest and getting things made and created, and just, you know, I have a lot of respect for you as a brewer and designer. So thank you very much for that. Thank you there. Thank you there as well. Thank you, Darth Carlock. We'll have session 0 tomorrow. However, I sent out the prior the exposition. How I'm going to start this game on Sunday. Was this too railroading, or is this okay for fiction first? No, it's okay to start. You can set up the initial position. I think that's not terrible. It's not terrible to say this is where we're starting. What I think you need to do is, to be clear, railroading and fiction first are sort of two different things. Fiction first just means you are respecting what is going on in your imaginary fantasy world, right? Like, if we've said that fireballs can light trees on fire, then that's true in our world. And when we cast a fireball spell, it doesn't matter what the mechanics say. They probably don't say anything about it at all, but it's important that we kind of keep that consistency there, right? We're basically saying, like, hey, you're like, well, the mechanics don't say that would cause any problems. You go, yeah, but I think it would cause problems, so it's going to, because that makes sense in the fiction. But quite separately, I think it's okay to say this is the starting scenario, this is the starting situation. But once the game gets going, that's where you want to make sure you don't have an end point in mind, that you are forcing the players to go to that end point. That's railroading. So I think it's fine. I think what you did is totally fine. Especially if you gave the players a heads up and they're able to build characters that tie into that core narrative. Now, again, as long as the game isn't like, and then the players will go to this castle, and then after they go to that castle, they're going to defeat this villain. And then after they defeat this villain, they're going to go to this city. You know, once you start doing that, that's railroading. Spotlight management is so crucial to this game, though I do suck at it. I think spotlight management is very crucial for these games, for sure. Unicorn Clan is cool. I mean, all the rest of them, Beowulf, are named after fantastic creatures. You don't have a problem with the Phoenix Clan, do you? You don't have a problem with the Dragon Clan, do you? And then some of them are named after, like, literal crabs and cranes. They're named after, like, bugs, scorpion. Like, I don't know. I don't see any difference between unicorn as phoenix or dragon. They're all mythological creatures. That could be a fictional thing that we establish is true in the fiction. The powerful and mythical crab. People don't respect it. I need to make a Shell Father shirt. Did you guys ever see my Shell Father? I mean, it's obviously AI drivel. Oh, these are just the original Shell Father. Oh, come on. Those are knights. Crab Clan is named after the Shell Father. I can't find our stuff for the Shell Father. Oh, wait, here we go. Ah, there it is. I found it. that was our Shell Father. But I want to make this into a shirt for sure. Again, I mean, it's literally just a talentless AI hack of, you know, obviously of the Godfather thing, but it is amusing to me, and it's such an inside joke. It means nothing to anybody. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, Darth. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about session 0A, 0B, 0C. I know that my group really enjoys the collaborative world building efforts. In fact, sometimes my group, I think, enjoys the collaborative world building efforts more than they enjoy the game. But not every group likes that. Some group want to get to playing, and they're totally fine with building that out, you know? Which is awesome. Well, what time is it? It's almost 2. Awesome. So, that is going to do it for us tonight. Thank you for this for hanging out with us on this second stream. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Darth Gorlock for numerous tips. I appreciate you, buddy. Filling up that tip goal by himself. It's fantastic. Thank you to Super Chats from Michael and there. I really appreciate you guys as well for throwing down your support. It's incredibly and amazing, humbling and amazing what this community does. And as I sit here in my brand new quote unquote studio, I'm reminded of just how cool and awesome that could potentially be, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we're able to do with this. Let's see if we can. Can I get my Logitech thing to work here? There we go. Got the new studio waiting to go. Again, it's a little bit more intimate. It's a little bit more crunched together. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a lot of fun for us, and it's going to be more like us sitting around a table. Like back in the old days, before we had really big, expensive tables and stuff like that, and getting all of this set up. Again, you can't see because there's a massive light here, but we have to put in the cameras, Darth, and we have to put in the lights. But we're pretty much good to go. There's a couple of things that we want and need to do, but it's going to be pretty sweet. And again, there's going to be 3 main shots. There's going to be obviously a shot. We're going to have the players. I'm going to be sitting here in front of the window. We're going to have players on the left side and the right side of the table. We're going to have 3 cameras and plus a top-down camera, plus a wide shot. So we'll have a couple different views and cuts, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be really, really cool. And we're going to try to include some really cool stuff there. Looking over my monitor to see all that in the dark would freak me out too much. Why would that freak you out? It's my room. True story. Where that chair is, okay, and that is where my bed has been for like the last 16 years. And so now it is a studio set. And of course, you can also see where Bob and I had to rip up my carpet so that we could fit in the studio walls, so that they could have enough room. Wow. Hello. What's up here? Hey, look, it's more Daggerheart games to give away. Actually, I need to give away. Let's see, what do I got? Come on, where the hell's it going? What is going on? Oh, there we go. I was like, what's going on? I got Daggerheart. I've got a Torchbearer set. I've got some Fabula Ultima books, all which need to be given away at some point. So, good stuff. Well, more to come. It's going to be awesome, and we're going to be sharing it all with you here, and hopefully we'll be playing some cool games, teaching you how to run some cool games, maybe even playing some really cool games with you. Again, it'd be awesome if you guys came along on the journey with us, but it'll be really cool if you can take that information and that entertainment and turn it into something that allows you to play or run a better game for your group. And that's ultimately what I really want to do. If I could teach you and keep you somewhat entertained and chuckling along with us at the same time, it'd be pretty cool. Of course, we're no Critical Role. We have a little bit more of a, common blue collar aesthetic here at Night's Last Call. But, I think it'll be really fun. Roman, thank you so much. Love the new room. The setup looks the same. Well, that's the goal, Roman. The goal was, number one, Bob and I spent way too much time building these freaking walls. Okay. And here's the sad part. Like, they look better in person. It really is true. Like, these would be like totally something that you would expect to see, like, you know, like in a amusement park or something. Like, there's a texture to them. You know, you can really see it kind of a little bit here with this. Like, some of the stones stick out at different, you know, it's not like they're not all flat. They have like a you know, depth to them and three-dimensionality to them. We spent way too much time on this. There was no way I was going to not reuse those if I could in some capacity. So that is what we've decided to do. It's obviously not as cool and complete as our original studio, but my original studio was in 1,000 square feet, and this is like 150 square feet. So we're operating with like 15% of the space. So I appreciate you. What board game would I play on stream first? Edward, I think that depends on what board games my friends want to play. There are many that I love. I would love to play Oath. I think Oath is a board game. It is a war game. No, sorry. It is a role-playing game masquerading as a war game board game. And I think all of my games of Oath, almost all of my games of Oath, have been extremely satisfying from a narrative perspective. Arcs is a lot of fun. I love Battlestar Galactica, the original Battlestar Galactica board game. I mean, they're my favorite games. I don't necessarily know really fit the aesthetic of the TTRPG space, like Tigris and Euphrates or Caverna, but you know, it'd be. I mean, Bob and I we're talking about playing Descent Second Edition. Bob's brother wanted to play Gloomhaven, or Nick wanted to play Gloomhaven. I don't know if we'll ever play that on stream, but it's a possibility. Yeah, Root's good too. Although, in my opinion, Root doesn't tell as good of a story as Oath. Oath, I think, is really the better storytelling game. So, but it was an honor to play with Darth, and GM said so. And you know, Darth, we got to keep the story of our Oath game alive. So, I've played Andromeda. I've played a lot. Again, it's one of these days. My board here. This now, granted, I do have all my 3rd edition D&D books that are not in my bookshelf behind me. All my 3rd edition D&D books are in storage because there's too many of them and I don't have enough room for them on this shelf. But my board game collection is bigger than my role-playing game collection. So obviously, board games take up more space, but in terms of like the number of IKEA cubic units that are devoted to board games rather than RPGs, I have more board games. So I love games. What can I say? All right, everybody. I will probably see you Tuesday. I'll let you know. Stay tuned. Subscribe, like. Remember, if you are a Amazon Prime member and you want to support us with your Amazon Prime sub, I would be honored. Thank you to all of our supporters via the Patreon. You guys are why I'm even in this crazy situation, why I'm cutting the carpet out of my floor just so I can put up fake castle walls so that we can have fun playing pretend games of fantasy magic, because you guys are giving me that opportunity, and I'm extremely grateful for that. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time on Knights of Last Call. Good night, everybody. Enjoy the rain check.